for making this happen. This is in fact the third SAJA event that we've had with Imran Khan. The first we did a few weeks after Benazir Bhutto's assassination, and then we did another conversation here at the J School, and now this opportunity. It's on the occasion is the launch of his book that's been launched in England, but not yet here in America. It's called Imran Khan, Pakistan, A Personal History, and we hope he will talk a lot about that today. It's now my pleasure to introduce you to our moderator and host for this evening, a great friend of the J School and a wonderful SAJA member named Bobby Ghosh. Bobby is world editor of Time magazine, and just that title tells you how South Asian journalism and how South Asian journalists have started influencing American media.
So I'm in the slightly privileged position of having read the book, but I recommend it highly. It's an excellent book. It's an unexpected book to read from us. It sort of finally shatters the image that I had of Imran Khan as the sports person. To me now, he can no longer be the Imran of my youth, and I say that with a twinge of sadness. But I also have a greater appreciation for the man he has become, for what he's trying to achieve, which is far more than we expect from our sporting heroes, and I admire and respect him for that. The last thing Imran said at the interview to Time was interesting. He said that as a cricket player, he always knew he had the killer instinct, which is the root of his success, and he always knew when he had the opponent in his grasp. And he feels that way today about Pakistani politics and his place in Pakistani politics. He senses that a moment has arrived, his moment has arrived.
Well, thank you, Bobby, for the introduction. Very briefly, about the book, I just want to, before I answer that question, the book is written for two reasons. One, it is written for the youth of Pakistan, because never in my life, which almost, Pakistan was 5 years old when I was born. So never in my life have I seen the Pakistani youth more confused as it is right now. So there's so many questions, so many issues, issues about secularism, about Islam, about Pakistan's future, about politics, about international relations, about war on terror. So I thought, there needs to be a direction, that what are the problems, what are the solutions. The second was for, as someone who has spent so much time in the Western world and who understands, I believe I understand the Western mind. And in this war on terror, the confusion in the West about Islam, as if this war has something to do with an ideology, rather than that the roots are all political. So I thought it was important also to explain to people here what Islam is, what is this whole war on terror, and what are the solutions. Now coming back to the question you asked me. 15 years of politics, no one has done politics like my party has done. To be in the opposition in Pakistani politics, in which there was eight years of military dictator, is the hardest thing if you compare politics to the Western world. And then to survive in these 15 years, staying in opposition and surviving, and then emerging suddenly in all the opinion polls as the most popular party in Pakistan today. Now, the reason why I say that I finally feel that the opponents are on the mat and that they will not now be able to get up, because I feel that the young people in Pakistan, the youth of Pakistan, has already decided. It's not that it's deciding, it has already decided that it wants to change. And finally, what has really sparked off this process of change is the most vibrant, independent media, specifically television. Television has changed Pakistan. The level of political awareness in Pakistan is unprecedented. The most popular programs are current affair programs. So every evening, there are about 6 current affair programs that are constantly informing the public about the situation and about the politics and the politicians. And so therefore, in my opinion, the next elections where you will see a bigger change, then there was a big wave in 1970 by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. I see a bigger change coming in the coming elections next year.
When I last met you, it was in Washington 2 years ago. You were already expressing quite a lot of alarm about the nature of American-Pakistani relations, and you were concerned that American policy executed in Afghanistan and in Pakistan was putting an enormous strain on Pakistan, but also sort of threatening the core of this relationship. And now from reading your book, I get the impression, if I'm reading it right, that you feel that that has come to pass, that the damage is now quite substantial, maybe irreparable. Am I reading that right?
Well, look, you know, I opposed this war on terror from day one, because, you know, it was as if the Bush administration had decided that they were fighting some conventional war. Now, war on terror is, you know, you win the war when you win the people over to your side. It's essentially a war of winning the hearts and minds of people and isolating the terrorists. Now, this nightmare which unfolded in Afghanistan and Pakistan was clearly it was all for losing hearts and minds. So they were never going to win this war. It was so obvious to anyone who was watching it. Now, the reason why from day one I opposed this was because I'm probably the only Pakistani who has traveled all over the tribal areas. 20 years ago, I wrote a travel book called The Warrior Race. And throughout the tribal agencies, I'd been there. And in this book, I had written that this was the ultimate warrior race in the sense that every man is a warrior. Because my passion, apart from cricket, used to be shooting. And because they knew I would shoot, everywhere I went, I was challenged to shooting matches in the tribal area. And 14-year-old boys would be able to shoot, as well as anyone. So here was and I'm talking now specifically of the tribal areas of Pakistan. Now, there are about 1 million armed men in our tribal areas. 1 million armed men. Now, it was so obvious that if some Al-Qaeda had come from Tora Bora into Pakistan, clearly the way to win this war was to use these 1 million armed men who had always stood by Pakistan to isolate the terrorists. And in the beginning, 240 Al-Qaeda were handed over to the Pakistan army by the tribals. But what General Musharraf did was, for me, the biggest blunder in Pakistan. Under American pressure, Americans knew nothing about the tribal areas. But at least the Pakistan government should have. Under American pressure, in 2004, they sent the Pakistan army into the tribal areas. And what they did was, the most insane and immoral way of fighting a war on terror is they started bombing villages with artillery, with helicopter gunships, with F-16s. 2 years of this insane collateral damage created the Pakistan Taliban. We did not have any militant Taliban in Pakistan. In fact, this collateral damage through military operations, killing women and children, turned these people, rather than winning them over to our side, we actually began to push them over to the other side. And so what is the Pakistan Taliban? Basically our own tribal people. And behind this war was a web of deceit and lies. Every war is, as truth is the first casualty. But in this particular war, trying to make your own people swallow that they were actually killing their own people, they kept each time insisting that they were foreign militants they were killing. And they were actually killing their own people. And this collateral damage is what created now what today is the Pakistani Taliban. Where there was no Taliban in Pakistan, militant Taliban, there are 30 militant Taliban groups operating in Pakistan.
From the north to the east, there's so much of the Pakistani military's self-justification, and this is also true of many Pakistani political parties, is predicated on the idea that Pakistan has this historical rivalry with India, enmity with India, and that India represents an existential threat to Pakistan, and that's why the military needs to continue to consume, I don't know, 60% of the budget. That's why there needs to be that many soldiers, that much money spent on arms. Do you, as a potential leader of Pakistan, do you think Pakistan, that India represents an existential threat to Pakistan?
No. The answer is no, I don't think so. But I think in the military psyche, because of the 3 wars fought between Pakistan and India, it's just in their genes that the threat is from India. And being a smaller country, always, the threat is exaggerated. And as a result, of course, the army has played a disproportionate role in Pakistan because of this perceived threat from India. But I think that, time has possibly come for Pakistan and India to have a completely new relationship. Because, the relationship is based on suspicion. The relationship between the 2 countries is completely counterproductive for both the countries. India needs Pakistan, Pakistan needs India. India needs Pakistan because India is aspiring to be a global economic power. It is an energy deficit country, and Pakistan is on the way where the energy corridor is from. So in my opinion, this distrust has to go, because no matter how much confidence building measures you have, unless and until we come to an understanding that our intelligence agencies will not interfere in each other or will no longer play a part in any violence in each other's countries, I'm afraid no matter how far we go with confidence building measures, one act like Mumbai will be back to square one. And therefore, a new relationship has to develop between the 2 countries. And Kashmir clearly is a bone of contention, but other countries have such issues too, and I think it should be settled on the negotiating table. Rather than as this policy of Pakistan promoting militancy, it's become counterproductive for Pakistan. And I think a new relationship based on trust will benefit the subcontinent.